Lore when eclipsed and the pre-modern format are still causing lots of card prices to spike. Get the rest of the story in part 2 of this giant-sized 2-part episode of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. This video is sponsored by Flipside Gaming. Check out flipsidegaming.com for all your gaming needs. Right now you can pre-order Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles products, Secrets of Strixhaven products, or find a vast number of other great items on their website. Remember, shipping is free in the US if your order is over $100 or consists only of singles. Just look at the description or comment section below for direct links to their site. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. If you watched part 1, you know that the release of Lore when eclipsed as well as the popularity of the pre-modern format are both having a huge impact on card prices this week. Due to all the activity, our Market Watch was again divided into 2 parts. In part 1, we saw the cold cards numbered 22 through 12 as well as the hot cards numbered 24 through 13. In this part, we're going to wrap things up by counting down the top 11 coldest and the top 12 hottest cards of the week. As always, our lists are based on 2 pieces of criteria: the percentage change in the value of the cards, as well as the change in the number of sales from week to week. This week, in order for a card to be featured, it had to be moving at least 20% and at least $2 in either direction. Quickly before we get started, just one fast thing. I do want to say thank you to one of our gold patrons. That is Mark Vonbank. Mark, thank you so much for being a long-term patron of the channel. Truly appreciate that support and your comments every week. I say it all the time, but I truly could not do this without viewers like yourself. Thank you so much, Mark. And now, without any further ado, let's get into it. We'll begin with the coldest cards of the week, part 2. Like I said, this time we're counting down the top 11 coldest cards. Just like in part 1, you're going to see several Lore when eclipsed cards moving down due to the high number of packs being cracked right now. These cards are seeing play, but the set is very popular, and large numbers of them are getting into circulation. Aside from that, you're also going to see some cards that spiked last week, which isn't too unusual. Many times, an increase in demand on a card results in a price spike, which then leads to more copies going up for sale. The extra quantity can erase part of the recent spike as demand begins to become satisfied. With that in mind, let's get started with number 11, Abundant Countryside. This is down 370 to 702, that's a 35% decrease. This is from the Lore when eclipsed Dance of the Elements commander deck. As you can imagine, this is seeing lots of commander play, but it's also appearing in builds in 1v1 Duel Commander and Legacy. Abundant Countryside is moving down this week though due to the high number of copies hitting the marketplace. Number 10, Mutable Explorer, down 398 to 301, that's a 57% decrease. This Lore when eclipsed rare has been getting early gameplay in Standard, Pioneer Commander, and 1v1 Duel Commander. However, like we've been discussing, Lore when eclipsed is a very popular set, and lots of packs are being opened, so there is an influx of cards hitting the marketplace, leading to price decreases like this one. Number 9, High Perfect Morcant, down 472 to 269, that's a 64% decrease. Not even this highly desired new commander from Lore when eclipsed is immune to the price drops. Awesome card, but a lot of copies of this are getting into circulation. Number 8 is Bitterbloom Bearer, down $797 to $30, that's a 21% decrease. Here's another Lore when eclipsed card moving down for the reason we just mentioned. This one, however, is seeing play in several formats including Standard, Pioneer, Modern, and Commander. Number 7 is Hexing Squelcher, down $953 to $1935, that's a 33% decrease. Yup, another Lore when eclipsed card moving down, but this is getting a lot of play in Standard, Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, Commander, and 1v1 Duel Commander. This is one to watch long term. Number 6 is Moonshadow, down $1260 to $2411, that's a 34% decrease. You guessed it, another card from Lore when eclipsed going down, but it is another one getting played. It is found in Standard, Modern, Legacy, Commander, and 1v1 Duel Commander builds right now. Number 5, Wistfulness, down $1303 to $33 for a 28% decrease. Okay, I promise, this is the last Lore when eclipsed card sliding down. Wistfulness is another highly played card early on, finding itself in some big Standard decks. It's also been appearing in Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, Commander, and 1v1 Duel Commander builds. Moving down 2 spots this week to number 4, Parallax Tide, down $1308 to $4203, that's a 24% decrease. This one-print wonder has been a huge part of the pre-modern format for quite some time. It has appeared in several decks there, including some really popular builds like Mono Blue Stiflenaut, Azorius Replenish, Azorius Standstill, and Tidetog. However, recently Parallax Tide was banned in the pre-modern format, and the price immediately began to plummet. Now it still appears a 1v1 dual commander and builds around Kefka Court Mage, as well as Urtai Resurrected for example, but since Parallax Tide is no longer used in pre-modern, I do expect the price to drop some more in the coming weeks. Last week, this was number 5 on the hot list. This week, it's number 3 on the cold list. Sabo's Web from Invasion, down 1451 to 2549. That's a 36% decrease. This was moving up because it is a big card in the pre-modern format that can be found in some main decks and many sideboards that deal with problematic lands. The format has its share of control builds that finish players off with lands like Mishra's Factory and Fairy Conclave. Sabo's Web is a good answer to those cards. Some decks that run this include Selesnya Enchantress, Azorius Replenish, which I think will still be around even without Parallax Tide, Dimir Psychotog, Devourer Combo, Welder Tinker, Growatog, and Azorius Stiflenaut. However, this card's recent price spikes have encouraged many to sell their copies, and lots of inventory hit the marketplace this week, leading to the retraction you see here. 2 weeks ago, this was number 2 on the hot list. A week ago, it went down to number 11. Last week, it moved up to number 10, but this week, it joins the cold list at number 2. Crumbling Ashes, down 1567 to 4783. That's a 25% decrease. The -1/-1 counter support from Lorwyn Eclipse made this card and the commander decks that it's in better. Many have been getting Crumbling Ashes to upgrade the Lorwyn Eclipse Blight Curse commander deck as well. But like the last card, its recent price spikes have led to more copies going up for sale, leading to some retraction. It is still more expensive than it was a few weeks ago, though. Last week, this was number 1 on the hot list. This week, it's number 1 on the cold list. Saproling Burst, down 1938 to 1999. That's a 49% decrease. This is found in pre-modern Pandemonium Burst builds, and a lot of players think that Pandemonium Burst may be the new top deck in the format now that Parallax Tide has been banned. However, you know what happened here. When players saw this card spike massively last week, they went into their bulk boxes and stores dug into their inventory to find copies of Saproling Burst to put up for sale. This week, the market saw a huge increase in copies, which caused this price retraction, but it's still a lot more expensive than it was a couple weeks ago. Alright, time for the main event, the hottest cards of the week part 2. In part 1, we saw numbers 24 through 13, now it's time for the top 12. So let's jump in with a card that's moving up 19 spots this week to number 12. Abeyance, up $7.75 to $30, that's a 35% increase. This reserveless card is moving up because of the play it sees in the pre-modern format. It is found in the sideboards of a few decks that may get more play now that Parallax Tide is banned. They are Iggy Pop, Pandemonium Burst, and sometimes Selesnya Enchantress. Abeyance was also in the sideboard of Azorius Replenish and Bant Standstill. We'll have to see how those decks adapt without Parallax Tide, but I think they'll still be strong enough with a few tweaks. Moving up 6 spots this week to number 11, Contagion Engine. The Scars of Mirrodin copy goes up 306 to 1586, that's a 24% increase. The Outlaws of Thunder Junction Breaking News copies up 405 to 1499, that's a 37% increase. And the one from the list is up 776 to 2450, that's a 46% increase. This has consistently seen a good amount of commander play. It's been in builds around Atraxa Praetor's Voice and the Wise Mothman, for example. But now Contagion Engine is getting more play thanks to the -1/-1 counter support in Lorwyn Eclipse products. Many builds that run Contagion Engine are getting better because of this support. Additionally, a lot of players want a copy of this to upgrade the Lorwyn Eclipse Blight Curse commander deck, while others are putting in fresh builds around a couple cards from there, the front-facing commander Anti-Ul Curse Wretch, and the Reaper King No More. Plus, to a lesser degree, Contagion Engine is appearing in commander decks around High Perfect Morcant from the main set. Moving up 20 spots this week to number 10, Scion of Una. The Modern Masters copy goes up 632 to 1875, that's a 51% increase. The Lorwyn copies up 773 to 2050, that's a 61% increase. And the Wilds of Eldraine Fey Dominion Commander deck copies up 779 to 1801, that's a 76% increase. Turns out that fairies are one of the many creature types finding support in Lorwyn Eclipsed, and this card is in fairy-centric commander decks, so it's been spiking because of said support. For example, it's in builds around Alila Cunning Conqueror from his precon, and Alila Artful Provocateur, for example. Plus, Scion of Una is also appearing in new commander decks around Marlin Fey Ascendant from the Lorwyn Eclipsed main set. Number 9, Library of Lang. The revised copies of 360 to 487, that's a 284% increase. The 4th edition one is up 586 to 699, that's a 519% increase. And the 5th edition copies up 1054 to 1205, that's a 698% increase. There's other copies of this card, of course, but they're just too rare to find enough sales to get clear price tracking data right now. This has traditionally gotten a little commander play. Sometimes it's been in builds around Nekuzar the Mindraiser and Turgid God of Fright, for example. Now though, it's a preview card from Secrets of Strixhaven that has caused Library of Lang's price to spike. It's going to combo with this card here, Lorehold the Historian. With this and Library of Lang in play, you could discard an instant or sorcery to the top of your library, then draw it and play it for the miracle cost. When Library of Lang started spiking earlier in the week, there was some disagreement whether the combo was legal, but Matt Tabak from Wizards of the Coast did say that it does indeed work with the way the rules of Library of Lang are templated. We'll have to see ultimately if this combo amounts to anything, or if it's just hype based on pure speculation. Coming in at number 8, Deranged Hermit from Urza's Legacy, up 1221 to 6749, that's a 22% increase. Sure, this reserve list card sees a little commander play and builds around Chatterfang Squirrel General, for example, but it's the pre-modern format moving its price currently. This is found in Elves decks there, and those have been gaining momentum since Parallax Tide was banned recently. Deranged Hermit is also working its way into some other builds there, sometimes you see it in the Rock, for example, but the pre-modern Elves deck is really the key driver for the price increase right now. Number 7, Elvish Warmaster. The Kaldheim copy is up 396 to 527. That is a 302% increase. The Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth Commander copy from the Elven Council deck is up 470 to 659. That's a 249% increase. And the one from Jumpstart 2022 is up $13.55 to $15. That's a 935% increase if you're doing the math at home. In part 1, we saw some card prices spiking due to the support for elves that came from Lorwyn Eclipsed, and that's why this price is spiking as well. The elf-centric commander decks that run Elvish Warmaster are getting a boost from several cards from the new set. This has typically been in builds around creatures like Lathril Blade of the Elves and Voya Jaws of the Conclave, for example. Elvish Warmaster is also now appearing in new commander decks around a couple cards from Lorwyn Eclipse. They are High Perfect Morcant and Marlin Fey Ascendant. Moving up 34 spots this week to number 6, Wart Boggart Ante, up 1566 to 2970. That's a 112% increase. This is a Lorwyn rare that is yet to be reprinted, so I might as well use my one per video for part 2. You may know that during this time period in Magic there was a recession in the game, and less packs of Lorwyn, as well as some other sets, were cracked. Due to the lower supply, some of these cards that haven't been reprinted, especially the rares, tend to spike when there's some attention on them. So why are people paying attention to this now? Well, Wart commander builds have become better thanks to the Goblin support found in Lorwyn Eclipse. Plus you see Wart in the 99 of a build that also appreciated that Goblin support, Slimefoot and Squee. Additionally, I am seeing some players putting Wart Boggart Ante in their commander builds around a new card from Lorwyn Eclipse. That's Grub Storied Matriarch / Grub Notorious Ante. Quickly before we get to our top 5, just a fast reminder, this video is sponsored by Flipside Gaming. Check out flipsidegaming.com for all your gaming needs. Right now, you can pre-order Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles products there. You can also now pre-order Secrets of Strixhaven products as well, or find any number of other great items on their website, Magic related and otherwise. Remember, if your order is over $100 or consists only of singles, shipping will be free in the US, and if you're looking for a direct link to their site, just check out the description or comment section below. I do have links posted in both of those places. And now, without any further ado, let's get to the top 5. Coming in at number 5, Alurin of 1636 to 5835, that's a 39% increase. Sometimes you see this in flubs of full commander decks, and of course Alurin Legacy builds have been around for a long time, but the format causing this reserve list card to spike now is pre-modern. Like we discussed in part 1, the pre-modern format has exploded over the last couple weeks since the professor featured it in a video on Tolarian Community College, and since the meta shifted with the banning of Parallax Tide. Some players and speculators think that the 5-color and Sultai Alurin builds will see more play in the post-Parallax Tide meta, So Aloran is spiking aggressively this week. Moving up 24 spots this week to number 4, Volrath's Shapeshifter, up 1825 to 2825. That's a 183% increase. This is another reserve list card going up because of the play it sees in the pre-modern format. It's a 2 of and 5 color Hermit Druid, which is a deck that could see more play now that Parallax Tide has been banned there. Moving up 33 spots this week to number 3, Cataclysm from Exodus. It's up 2516 to 3899. That's a 182% increase. This does see play in 1v1 dual commander and builds around Felia Exuberant Shepherd and Aragorn King of Gondor, for example. It also appears in regular commander. I have seen it in builds around Brea Ethereum Shaper there. However, the format pushing Cataclysm's price spike this week is, wait for it, pre-modern. The Terrageddon builds have been performing well, and without Parallax Tide in the format anymore, they could begin to take up a bigger portion of the field. You see Cataclysm in some of those Terrageddon decks, including the Selesnya and 4-color varieties. Number 2 is Allosaurus Shepard. The Jumpstart copy goes up 2051 to 5699. That is a 56% increase. The Double Masters 2022 copies up 3263 to 6888. That's a 90% increase. Sometimes this appears in Legacy Cradle Control, and it can also show up in 1v1 dual commander decks around Tifa Lockhart and Lumer Bellow of the Woods. However, its role in regular commander is why Allosaurus Shepard's price is spiking now. As we discussed earlier, the elf creature type got a boost from several cards in Lorwyn Eclipse, making many elf-centric commander decks that much better, and this card's found in a lot of them. For a while, the highest played decks where you found this were around Lathril Blade of the Elves and the Gitrog monster, but now Allosaurus Shepard is in builds around a couple new cards from Lorwyn Eclipse. Again, they are High Perfect Morcant and Marlin Fey Ascendant. And finally, coming in at number 1 is Cursed Scroll. This is up $39.28 to $100 for a 65% increase. This reserve list card also happens to be a very highly played pre-modern card, which is why it's hot again now. It's found in some big decks there, which may get bigger now that Parallax Tide has been banned. They include Mono Red Sly, Mono Black Midrange, Gruul Sly, and Mono Red Land Destruction, although Mono Red Sly is the deck leading the pack right now. I hope you were listening to me over the last couple months when I said this could potentially become a big card sooner or later. Looks like it was sooner. Alright, that does it for another 2-part giant-sized edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. There's just so much going on in the market currently, and this weekend is the Lorwyn Eclipse Pro Tour. I would expect to see some standard card spiking because of that event next week. So make sure you tune in and keep up with everything that's going on. But until then, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.